Uppercuts all you can handle. Scandal, blows channel, body shots.
The company is Valor Fighting, and it's just 2 years old. But the sport's origins, or a form of it, date back more than 600 years BC. Valor Fighting claims to be the next generation of mixed martial arts, which is a combination of boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, karate, and quite frankly, anything you can think of. Unlike the choreographed World Wrestling Federation, what you see in mixed martial arts is what you get. And that aspect of reality is part of the growing attraction that has made it a viable sports entertainment product. Could you see Hulk Hogan riding a motorcycle like this down a freeway? This man is known as Mavrick, the soul collector, and riding bikes on one wheel is his hobby. This is his profession. Mavrick is a 5-time champion and living proof that it takes a certain mentality to do this job. He will be part of an 8-card fight night next Friday called The Showdown at Cache Creek.
All you can handle, scandal, blows channel, body shots, dismantle, scramble.
Well, I told you we were going to switch gears, and that's what we're going to do tonight here at Cache Creek. Let's introduce you to our very special panel tonight. First of all, sitting directly across from me, Rick Bassman. You are the founder and the president of Ultimate Pro Wrestling. Taurus, who is really, I'm going to call you a rookie at age 29. You've only fought once. You are 1-0. We've got some video of that fight. We'll talk about that. And, of course, the veteran, 35 years old, the old man of this sport. Mavrick, thanks for coming on the show tonight. So a real difference between a guy that's up and coming and a veteran. But let's talk about, Rick, with you, the mixed martial arts. And we just saw an entire story of what this is really about. And I know there's a lot of preconceived notions of it really kind of being a barbaric sport. And from the outside looking in, I'm not an expert at this. And I think it takes kind of a certain stomach to sit there and watch this stuff. Is that the one maybe fallacy, or is it truth that you face in trying to appeal to the wide audience?
Well, actually, it's a big fallacy, and it's taken us a long time to overcome that perception. We came here in '93 when we first debuted in the United States, and it was marketed as the ultimate blood sport, and it was very successful because of that, but it set us back years in terms of gaining widespread acceptance. We're now, 12 years down the road. We're legalized in every state across the country, and just statistically, and this is all canned stuff, but it's worth you guys knowing, you have boxing called the sweet science. Since 1993, when our kind of fighting, mixed martial arts, came in the United States, it's 12 years. There have been exactly 0 ring-related deaths in the United States attributed to mixed martial arts. If you compare that to boxing, again, the sweet science, the number is 220. Now, our sport's far safer. Most of the matches end by a referee jumping in and stopping it quickly, by a submission. You may get a little ligament damage or something of that sort, by the occasional knockout, and often by a judge's decision. Boxing, you're repeatedly getting hit in the head. It's a far more dangerous sport. Our sport's the purest form of combat there is, and believe it or not, relatively safe.
Mavrick, how many times have you had to do the tap out in your career?
I've only tapped once.
Really?
It's not an option for me.
Right.
I'm a different breed of a fighter. You know, I'm the people's fighter. I'm not the fighter that's going to 5 different studios and dojos and trying to get 10 different black belts. You know, I'm predominantly a street fighter. I grew up in the streets. I still work in the streets, and that's not an option for me. I go in there, it's a sport for me also, but if my intent is not to step in that octagon and be on top, I'm not going to put myself into that kind of position, you know. So tapping's not an option for me. I don't have the mindset to go in there to tap.
Playing off what I asked Rick, the stigma that is attached to this, the barbaric nature of it. I mean, you mentioned it yourself. You're a street guy. I mean, you're a street fighter. You came up fighting in the streets, and I think that's why part of the stigma is this. I mean, boxing, you're right about ring-related deaths. I mean, the risk in boxing is very high level. I don't know how many people want their kids to get into boxing. But the point is that the sport you're in, I mean, its origin really does develop in the street. It's kind of a no-holds-barred type of thing when you get a ring. And that's the thing that I think you have to overcome.
You know, basically that's what it's marketed for. It's a publicity hype to sell tickets and sell promotional for it. But let's be realistic about the sport. What other sport do you know? Boxing. Can you tap out in boxing? You're getting pummeled in the corner unless that referee stops and makes it determined on his sole knowledge. You have no option to stop the fight. In MMA, no holds bar fighting, you have the option every time to either tap or not continue to fight.
Just so our audience knows, when you tap, I think it's a 3 tap. Let's say you're locked.
Actually, it's just one tap.
One
to the
tap.
Floor, to the opponent's body, to your body.
And that means
anywhere,
you're out.
that's it.
And the referee's watching out for that.
And they're watching
on that.
We're
We're erring on the side of being conservative these days, so somebody doesn't get hurt. We don't want those deaths on our record in this sport, or even serious injury for that matter.
But you know, the appeal to the sport is, you know, it's evolution. It's like, let's be realistic. The cars that we drive now are not the style of cars we drove in the 30s and 40s or the 50s. The sports that we're playing now, look at the Olympics. Look how many new sports are in the Olympics. It's evolution. The fight game needs to evolve. Boxing is pretty archaic. It's one-dimensional. Two men stand up and punch each other in the head. Mixed martial arts is a wide variety of all different types of fighting sports combined in one. It doesn't take some meathead to come into the octagon and think you're in a fight. You're going to get destroyed. You have to be intelligent, you have to be articulate, you have to be well-trained.
Now, why do you have to be articulate?
Well, you have to be articulate on the exposure of the type of aggression you're going to give the person. If you go in there and you're out of control, you're going to gash. You have to be articulate on how you land this punch, how you put this person in the armbar, how you're going to go for the submission. It's like a chess game. MMA fighting is a chess game. Once you go to the ground, you're thinking, and if you're not thinking, you're losing.
Let's talk about the sort of makeup that you guys have to do something like this, because, you know, I'm sure this is not a sport where a Phi Beta Kappa from Yale is throwing out his degree on the weekends looking for a night job to do this, right?
You know, it's surprising you say that. You know, Torres is a young man. You ask why he's 29 and getting in the MMA world. This man is an engineer. Has an engineering degree. Okay,
so why wouldn't you pursue that instead of getting your body beat up?
It's a passion.
It's
a dream.
You know, MMA fighting is something you're born with, realistically. I mean, it's in your blood. I mean, you wake up, you either have the heart of the lion or you don't. Like I said, you can study every art in the world and get in there and want to do it, but for men like Torres and myself, we come from two different backgrounds, but he's also educated, you know, it's something that's in your blood. It's a passion for something you need to do and fulfill in your life so you can move on to the next level.
You're 35 years old. You have a 2-year-old son. And I'm sure that at some point it passes through your mind that your safety, because listen, it's very well documented. You've made that clear, Rick. And this is like a lot safer than people think, yet injuries do occur. Does it concern you?
Concerns me to the fullest. But like I said, you know, if I come to fight day and I don't feel like I want to step in that octagon and fulfill my presence and my ability to fight and enable this person, I'm not going to step in there anymore. There's other venues I can do it. When I feel the passion is gone, or I feel that I could endanger myself, or I'm not at the best possible shape I could possibly be, I'm not going to step in there anymore.
I should mention the event at Cache Creek is sold out, and that leads me into my next question. Can you make a good living? Judging from your shades, you're doing okay, but can you make a good living at this?
With the right management, yep. Which, you know, I'm fortunate to be represented by Valor Fighting and the Shark Tank, and Rick has done a lot of wonderful things for me. I've been able to fight in Japan and France and travel the world and see things that I probably wouldn't have been able to see for quite some time.
Training is intense.
A lot of people, they see the fight, they think, oh man, I could go in there and do that. Yeah, you know, maybe you could go in there and last for 30 seconds, a minute, 30 seconds. Maybe you could. But could you train for 3 months at the intense level that we train at? Sleeping, eating, the conditioning, the stretching, the constant pounding of the body. It's not the actual fight that's hard. That's why it's such the misconception about everything, about it being so dangerous.
We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have some fun. Which other professional athletes, be it baseball, boxing, or maybe the NFL, would make perfect mixed martial arts fighting? We're coming back in just a moment.
We can give you a good